What's going on, guys? So, a video I've been meaning to do for quite some time because I've yet to get full bottles of either. I only have decants, but I've kind of made my mind up on if I only was to get one, which actually they're so good I want to get both, honestly, which we'll discuss that a little more in depth here later in the video. But the difference between the original Ombre leather in the signature line that came out in 2018, I believe, from Tom Ford versus the newer release Ombre leather Parfum in the signature line. Now, there's some similarities, and there's quite a bit of differences. I was actually surprised the first time I smelled this, but we're going to go through how each of them smells, the type of performance I get from both, and we're going to pick a winner. So stay tuned. So starting with Tom Ford's Ombre leather from the signature line in the black bottle. This stuff is beautiful. It's reminiscent of their lower level line, I guess, technically, of Tuscan leather. Tuscan leather was in the private blend that's in those iconic Tom Ford bottles. And it is extremely similar, though not exactly the same, because with Tuscan leather, I do get more of a fruity sweetness, whereas here, there's still a light sweetness. It is the sweeter fragrance of the two, but the note breakdown will lead you to believe that there isn't really any sweetness because the top note's cardamom, the mid is leather and jasmine sambac, and in the base you're looking at amber, moss, and patchouli. And what I get from it is a heavy blast of some more rough and tumble leather for the most part, but not the absolute most animalic leather I've ever smelled. It's actually a little bit more smooth. It's a little smoother overall than what Tuscan leather is. I have smelled Tuscan leather on a handful of occasions, though I don't own a bottle of it, admittedly. But you do get a little bit of a floral tone, but there's an earthiness to this. The leather comes across a little smoky to me. And like I said, there's this underlying sweetness that, based on the note breakdown, I don't know what to attribute it to other than it having some of Tuscan leather's DNA in there. But it doesn't come across as any raspberry or fruits of any kind, but there is a distinctive light sweetness. It's very ambery and warm. Like I said, a little earthy, but not heavy on the moss and patchouli to where they jump out at me too much. It just provides this nice earthy tone to the fragrance overall, but it is more on the animalic side. And like I said, the leather comes across quite a bit smoky. This is one of those in-your-face fragrances. This is more on the bold side. Not the most bold fragrance out there, but as far as designer fragrances are concerned, this is one of the higher quality designers out there. One of the best leather-based fragrances I've ever smelled, niche or designer, regardless of the difference. And it's one that I think is great for dressier occasions. This one definitely dresses up very well. This one will make a statement. Like I said, it's more on the bold side. It's got that rough and tumble leather, more animalic side to it. And it's very attractive to those that like the smell of leather. It's actually done very, very well. So next we're going to talk about how Ombre leather Parfum smells. So admittedly, if I can get it to focus, that would be great. There we go. So this one's a bit different of a smell. You do get plenty of the leather, but when this one opens up, there's a blast of orris, iris. It's the same thing. Orris root is the root of the iris flower with some violet leaf. It's got this airy aquatic feel to it from violet leaf. It's very, most designer fragrances that have violet leaf, I would say 7 or 8 out of every 10 times, it's going to have kind of an aquatic, fresh feel to it. This one does. This is much fresher than the original Ombre leather. It's a little powdery, but not too powdery. You still get that hit of leather, and there's a smooth, woody, and lightly earthy tobacco in the backdrop. That's another one of the biggest differences here. As you can see, based on this note breakdown, top notes of violet leaf and cedar, mid notes of jasmine sambac. That's the shared note from Ombre leather, the regular EDP version, orris, and then in the base, leather, which is shared, again, woodsy notes and tobacco. So, like I said, the note breakdown is not that similar. The only notes that I recall being the same is the jasmine sambac and the leather. So what's introduced here that's a little bit different is the violet leaf, the orris, and the tobacco, and they all three stand out. The three differences in the note breakdown definitely stand out in this fragrance. This offers less of a masculine tone, though not a feminine fragrance by any means, even though it has orris and violet leaf. There's still a lot of masculinity to this fragrance, though I think this is one that more ladies can enjoy versus just that rough and tumble, extremely masculine take that is ombre leather. Even though ombre leather is sweeter, it's still much more masculine than the Parfum version. The Parfum has more of a daily wear type of feel because of that added freshness to it. I feel like this one dresses down a little bit better for a leather fragrance. This has a somewhat more casual appeal, but can still dress up very well. It still has a nice elegance to it, but it's not near as bold as ombre leather. So what it comes down to with the scent category, this is a difficult one because I can appreciate both of them for what they are. They both smell great, and there's enough differences to make them not completely redundant to one another to where you can have both. But honestly, if I had to pick one just based on scent alone, I think I'm going to go with ombre leather. Next, in regards to performance, so ombre leather is definitely a loud and in your face fragrance. It is pretty long lasting for the most part. You can expect 8+ hours from this fragrance. Obviously, your skin will vary. And then the same thing goes as far as longevity. With the Parfum, you can expect 8+ hours, but this one's a little bit smoother, a little bit more subdued, though still very present. It's not extremely in your face. It's not one of those fragrances that's just going to punch you in the nose when somebody walks up to you wearing it. Whereas with ombre leather, it's more of a statement making type of scent profile, and the performance matches it. It will really just kind of pop you in the nose, and it has a pretty stout sillage for the most part. They both have a pretty robust sillage where there's a nice trail going, but the projection aspect, the early stages of the performance of the fragrance is definitely stronger with ombre leather, whereas I think the trail is a little bit better overall. Your sillage and scent bubble is a bit more consistent with the Parfum, but based on my particular taste, I don't necessarily need too in your face. Admittedly, ombre leather, it's what it should be for the scent profile. It is in your face, but personally, I like the performance overall because of the consistency of the sillage and the smoothness and the way it just kind of radiates off of my skin overall, because I get similar longevity, but I got to give it to the Parfum in the performance category for my personal taste. Versatility and situations overall that these are best suited for. So, like I said before, with ombre leather, I feel like that's a dressier occasion, more bold statement making type of fragrance. And I feel like everybody should have one fragrance like that in their wardrobe. You need that one fragrance when you're having a special event, you're going somewhere where it's people you haven't seen in a while, and so on. You want to make a statement, you want to have a nice presence with your wardrobe. This is part of your wardrobe. You want to make sure hygiene and apparel and accessories are on point, and you want to have that right fragrance to really complete the ensemble. And I think ombre leather in dressier occasions, special events, dinners, evenings, and such, I think it's a great fragrance for that. Whereas with the Parfum, I feel like it can still do those things, but it has more of a casual appeal overall. It's not just a dressy occasion fragrance. I mean, with the original, you can wear it as you see fit, but I think personally in situations where you're looking for a little bit more versatility, I think you're better off with the Parfum here because of that added freshness, it's got more of an ease of use appeal to the scent profile. It's not as in your face. If you're in situations where you don't necessarily want to be too loud with your fragrance, but you still want to have something that's strong enough for you to personally enjoy without having to, have personal sprays, you can just spray your neck, your chest, or whatever, and you'll still get nice wafts of it throughout the day. I think the versatility edge goes to the Parfum, but even though I feel like ombre leather is much more situational, I think this one is really the way to go because it's such a great statement maker. It's a memorable type of fragrance. I think this is the way to go. So overall, with the winner, like I said, this one was very close because even though there's a lot of differences between the two, as far as the scent profile, and there's a little bit of change to how they project off of my skin, and the versatility is a little bit different between the two. I think they're both really good fragrances that you can actually get away with having both, but we have to pick one winner, and I think you need to go with the bold statement maker with the original Ombre leather. I do think it is the better fragrance overall, ever so slightly, but still the better fragrance overall. I will be getting bottles of both of these sooner rather than later. I've been more focused on warmer weather fragrances. Once we get later into the summer, I'll be focused on adding some more cooler weather fragrances, which these are. These are not good summer fragrances in any way, shape, or form, unless you're in a climate-controlled environment in the evenings at all times. Yeah, you can get away with wearing whatever, but out in the sun, out in the heat, not good options here. But I hope this video was helpful for some of you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe before you leave the video. Make sure to sample first, because you never know what you like. I actually got decants of both of these. I've had them for a while, especially the original Ombre leather. I've had it for over a year, actually. You can see it's almost completely empty. I only have just a few sprays left. I love this stuff. It's a very, very good fragrance. Same here with Ombre leather Parfum. I've used up almost the whole decant. Absolutely worth experiencing if you like leather fragrances. At least one of these is probably going to be a must-add to your collection. But like I said, sample first. And until next time, I will say if you get your hands on either version of Ombre leather, the original or the Parfum, and you give it a spray now, you might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.